How much faith can we place in election polls? Are they dependable barometers of public sentiment or mere shots in the dark? These are questions that often linger in our minds. Election polls, in their essence, aim to offer a snapshot of the current political climate. They provide insights into voter intentions at a specific moment, serving as a temperature check of the electorate. Yet they are not infallible. The accuracy of election polls has been a subject of debate, and public trust in them has wavered over the years. Some view them as precise indicators of public opinion, while others see them as flawed and misleading. The truth, as with most things, lies somewhere in the middle. While polls can offer valuable insights, they come with their set of limitations. They face unique challenges in predicting voter turnout and accurately representing diverse demographics. And let's not forget, they are not future predictors but reflectors of the present sentiment. Despite these limitations, polls remain a crucial aspect of our democratic process. But why is that so? Polling is more than just asking people who they plan to vote for. It's a science, a craft, and it's far from simple. Just think of it as a complex recipe that requires precision, patience, and a dash of intuition. The first step in the polling process is sample selection. This is where pollsters decide who they will interview. They aim for a representative sample, a small group that reflects the larger population. This is crucial because an unrepresentative sample can lead to inaccurate results. Now imagine trying to bake a cake with only half the ingredients. It wouldn't quite taste right, would it? Once the sample is selected, the next step is to ask the questions. The wording and order of these questions are carefully crafted to avoid bias and to get the most accurate responses. It's like following a recipe step by step, ensuring each ingredient is added in the correct order and quantity. Then comes the data collection. This is where the pollsters gather the responses. However, as with any recipe, there can be challenges. One such challenge is declining response rates. Today, fewer people are inclined to answer surveys. It's like trying to bake a cake, but the oven keeps turning off. Another challenge is predicting voter turnout. This is because not everyone who says they'll vote actually ends up doing so. It's like planning a dinner party but not knowing how many guests will show up. Accurately representing diverse demographics is another hurdle. Our society is a rich tapestry of different cultures, ages, and political views, and capturing this in a small sample is like trying to capture the essence of a complex dish in a single bite. Finally, the collected data is analyzed. It's sifted, sorted, and interpreted to provide a snapshot of public opinion at that specific moment. It's the final taste test, the moment where all the ingredients come together and we see if the recipe was successful or not. As you can see, polling is a delicate dance of numbers and demographics. But what happens when the music stops and the polls get it wrong? The answer to that, dear listener, lies in understanding the limitations of polls and how they can be improved. But that's a story for another time. Even the best conducted polls can miss the mark, and when they do, the fallout can be significant. Picture this. It's the night before a major election. The polls have been painting a clear picture of the likely victor. Yet, as the results roll in, it becomes evident that the underdog has triumphed. This scenario has played out multiple times in history, leaving many to question the reliability of polls. One of the most notable instances happened in the United States during the 2016 presidential election. Despite polls consistently predicting one candidate's victory, the election results told a different story. This unexpected outcome shook public trust in polls, causing many to dismiss them as unreliable. But let's not forget the Brexit referendum in the United Kingdom. The polls once again predicted a clear victory for the Remain camp. However, the Leave camp emerged victorious, leaving the world in shock and the pollsters red-faced. These missteps have had a profound impact on public trust. After all, if the polls can't accurately predict the outcome of such major events, how can they be trusted to reflect public sentiment accurately? In response to these failures, pollsters have been working tirelessly to improve their methods. They've been addressing past errors, developing new techniques, and making efforts to include underrepresented groups. They're also striving to make their methodologies more transparent, allowing the public to better understand how polls work and what they can and can't do. Despite these improvements, it's important to remember that no poll is infallible. They are, at their core, a snapshot of public sentiment at a specific moment in time. They can be influenced by a wide range of factors, from the wording of the questions to the demographics of the respondents. So the accuracy of polls can fluctuate and they are not always right. But should we disregard them altogether? Despite their shortcomings, polls serve an essential purpose in our democratic process. Polls, in essence, are the heartbeat of democracy. They provide a platform for citizens to express their views, concerns, and aspirations. They offer a glimpse into the collective psyche of a nation at a particular point in time. By capturing public sentiment, polls help illuminate the path that people want their leaders to tread. They're not fortune tellers, but rather mirrors reflecting the here and now. They play a pivotal role in shaping political strategies. Candidates and parties keenly observe these polls to understand what issues resonate with the public. They use this information to tailor their messages, prioritize their policy agendas, and connect with voters on a deeper level. In this way, polls serve as a bridge between the public and the political arena, fostering a more responsive and representative democracy. Polls also keep the public informed. They provide citizens with a sense of where they stand in relation to others on key issues. They allow us to gauge the mood of the nation, sparking conversations, debates, and even prompting us to reassess our own opinions. Polls stir the democratic soup, keeping it vibrant and engaging. But remember, polls are not crystal balls. They don't predict the future. They are a snapshot of public sentiment at a given moment. They are influenced by a multitude of factors like the wording of questions, the sample size, and the timing of the poll. They come with margins of error and are subject to change as public opinion shifts. However, this doesn't diminish their value. It only underscores the importance of understanding what polls can and cannot do. They are not the final word, but rather one piece of the larger puzzle that forms our complex democratic landscape. So while polls may not be perfect predictors of the future, they are invaluable snapshots of the present. How then should we approach election polls? A question that tends to linger in the minds of many, especially with the increasing skepticism around the accuracy of these polls. The key lies in understanding the nature of polls and their inherent limitations. Election polls are not crystal balls. They are not designed to predict the future. Instead, they are snapshots capturing the political landscape at a specific point in time. They reflect current sentiment, the prevailing winds of public opinion. But these winds can shift, and when they do, the polls shift with them. The key is to view them as fluid, as reflections of the present moment, not as immutable forecasts of what is to come. Recognizing the limitations of polls is also crucial. Polls have margins of error. They can suffer from response bias, and they face the daunting task of predicting voter turnout. These challenges are real, and they can impact the accuracy of the results. But acknowledging these limitations doesn't mean that we should dismiss polls outright. Instead, we should use them judiciously, interpreting their results with a discerning eye. And then there's the role of participation. The more people participate in polls, the more accurate these snapshots become. Every voice that is added to a poll helps to paint a more representative picture of public opinion. Your voice, your opinion matters. Participating in polls is one way to ensure that you are represented, that your voice is heard. In the end, polls are tools for understanding, not for forecasting. And like any tool, they work best when used correctly. So, let's approach election polls with an understanding of their nature, an appreciation of their limitations, and a commitment to participate. Let's use them to capture the pulse of the moment, to gain insights into our evolving political landscape. After all, in the realm of politics, understanding is the first step towards meaningful action. So, are election polls reliable? The answer is complex. It's essential to remember that polls, while not perfect, are a critical tool in our democratic process. They offer snapshots of public sentiment, capturing the mood of the nation at a specific point in time. However, they are not crystal balls that can predict future outcomes with absolute certainty. Challenges such as declining response rates, accurately representing a diverse electorate, and predicting voter turnout can affect the accuracy of polls. But pollsters are continuously working to refine their methodologies, address past errors, and better represent underrepresented groups. In spite of these hurdles, But polls, especially those conducted with scientific rigor, remain vital. They are a means to gauge public opinion, influencing policy decisions, and holding elected officials accountable. So, as we approach the next election cycle, let's understand that polls are not infallible. They're a reflection of the here and now, not a prophecy of the future. And remember, your voice matters. So participate in the polls, understand their limitations, and stay engaged in the democratic process.